Invincible is fantastic, and season 3 is shaping up to be its best yet. I had my gripes about the season 2, but everything it built up is gradually paying off. Invincible, despite being a very active looking show with its chaotic fights, it's very much about setups. Mark's self-doubt after killing Angstrom Levy, the on and off intensity between Cecil and Mark in the Guardians of the Globe, Omni-Man's perpetual state of internal conflict. So much got teased and built up in season 2, and we are finally seeing those payoffs. Let's go through that list in order. I think the fundamental question of Invincible is, what does it mean to be a hero? And you can see Mark grapple with this question throughout the entire season. After murdering a man in cold blood, he starts to have sincere doubts about the hero business, feeling immense guilt. Cecil tries to reassure him that he is nothing like Omni-Man like his pops, but Mark still regrets his actions. Coming to the new season, this is further explored through the relationships between Mark, Cecil, and Oliver. Now the question is explored even deeper. Episode 1 reveals that Cecil has been working with both Sinclair and Nightwing, two very bad, very quote-unquote evildoers. Mark is furious at this, which sparks the masterpiece that is Deal with the Devil, but I want to focus on that bad guy argument real quick, because Cecil makes good points. Mark also killed a man, and even if he regretted it, a death happened by his hands. And the justification he uses, trying to protect his family, is the very motive trying Cecil to protect lives, yet Mark can't accept that. Episode 2 is nearly perfect, from the fights, to the ideas and concepts, to the writing. It is impeccable. The episode starts off with a backstory that works wonders for Cecil's character. Now, I won't go over the whole entire thing, but there are a few key points we need to discuss. Firstly, his sense of duty. The man's skin and organs and whatever were literally peeling off from the gas, yet he stood there blocking the door. Now, it can be argued that bro literally could not have moved, fucking look at him, but the fact that he even ran to it to shut the door and try to save lives is indicative of his heroism. Heroism, huh? That's an interesting word to say. See, at this point in time, Cecil isn't the director. This guy is. He calls the shots, which is ironic considering how Cecil shot these motherfuckers that the GTA decided to reform and employ. Yes, Mark and Cecil were both at the same end of the coin. This parallel works so well. One, it shows how complicated this dilemma is in the first place, how thin the line of morality is. We know Cecil is a man of integrity, yet even he decided the director was spitting facts. He says,
"You can be the good guy, or the guy who saves the world. You can't be both."
Which I think is Cecil's thesis, if you will, the very core of this character. And the way this contrasts with Mark in this episode is some of the most thought-provoking shit to come out of this show. Like, was he justified in putting that thing in Mark's head? From Mark's view, and for probably the majority of the fan base, I'd say hell no. That's a violation of his fucking rights. Plus, it's kind of a show of mistrust. Like, Cecil doesn't 100% believe he's on humanity's side. It discredits a lot of his more tender moments with Mark. Except there is feasibility here for his actions, in my opinion. Omni-Man murked the literal protectors of Earth. He murdered probably hundreds of thousands and just generally wreaked havoc everywhere. Of course, Cecil would have some precaution around Mark, even more so when you remember he visited Omni-Man in season 2, but still, the pain in his eyes as he realizes Cecil betrayed him still stings. It's so messy and complex, and it's just such an incredible dynamic, I think. Oliver's addition to the show further stretches this theme out to its barest and most fundamental. Now the question is, what is good and what is evil? How do you define evil? Episode 3 starts off with a silent flashback of these two random villains looking into their own struggles with wanting to be good people, yet being forced into a life of crime. It speaks to how the series views evil or evil doing. If someone does an evil act, does that make them a bad guy? Even a justification could be argued. Is Cecil evil for the same reasons? It's an incredibly thought-provoking and heartfelt way to start the episode off. Oliver also brings a lot of depth to the family dynamic. In season 1, Mark was considered a naive kid that Nolan had to whip into shape, but this Jet is even younger, with an even simpler worldview, like when he chooses the horrendous superhero named Kid Ironheart. In his eyes, since Dad has changed into a good person, people will see him saving lives and they'll somehow repair his dad's legacy. In other words, the individual and the act are separate in his eyes, which again speaks to this idea of defining evil. He also, like any other kid, has invincibility syndrome. He just believes he's him, that he can't get hurt, and his superhuman resistance doesn't exactly deter him from getting into trouble. Anyways, later in this episode, he murks both the Mahler twins, stating,
"That's what happens when you're a bad guy."
What's worse is that he doesn't understand why everyone's so pressed. He beat the bad guy, didn't he? He ended their reign of terror and made sure they never hurt anyone ever again. And as Mark tries to convince him that what he did was wrong, Oliver spins it back, saying life isn't precious. In a way, it's almost tragic how adamant he is about this at such a young age, yet still, it's very evocative. Let's bring this all back to that central question. Is being a hero stopping the bad guys or saving lives? Are these two even different at all? Should a hero have justification to kill someone trying to kill others? Should a hero hero have morals if it deters them from saving precious lives? I am incredibly excited to see how this theme develops as Oliver and as Mark and Cecil progress through the season. Lastly, I really want to talk about this ongoing C plot happening episode by episode, and that is my boy Alan trying to recruit Omni-Man. I love this character, okay? He steals the show for every scene he's in. Perfect comedic relief, such rich and hilarious dialogue, and he feels perfectly out of place in his Viltrumite prison, the same prison holding Nolan, who's really going through it. The guilt from betraying both Viltrum and Earth causes him to be stuck in this thick rut, wanting to die. Alan, being the broski he is not with that shit. It is so entertaining, these two polar opposites bonding in an unlikely bromance. It's organic in a way that shouldn't be, but it just is, and it's fucking cold. I cannot wait to see where these two end up later in the season. And yeah, there are so many other elements of the season that I like the romance between Eve and Mark, Rex finally growing into a likable character. Like, this show is so excellent, and I'm just so excited for every episode to come out. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.